The mahogany desk separated you from your father, but the distance felt heavier than the polished wood. His office smelled of power, leather chairs, expensive perfume of wealth, and the faint ticking of the grandfather clock. "Appa," you said carefully, though determination laced your voice. "I've been telling you since graduation. I don't want to just sit here and inherit. I want to build something of my own company, my own name." Your father didn't even look up from the files he was signing. Your father, "Don't start this again." "Again?" you scoffed, stepping closer. "Yes, again, because you're not listening to me. You promised me, if I studied hard, if I graduated top of my class, you'd support my dream. I kept my promise. Why can't you keep yours?" Finally, his eyes met yours, stern but soft with concern. "Because you're my only daughter. And this company, it's not just mine. It's our family's legacy. I've spent my life building it. And when I'm gone, I need to know someone I trust will protect it." "Then trust me," you raised your voice, tears stinging your eyes. "Trust me to create something of my own. Just because I'm your daughter doesn't mean I should live only for your legacy. What about my own?" Your father's expression hardened. "You think it's that simple. Business isn't about chasing dreams. It's about survival, sacrifice, reputation. Do you even know how many people are waiting to see you fail? I can't let that happen." Silence thickened between you, heavy with unspoken love and unspoken disappointment. "I don't want to be trapped, Appa," you whispered, voice breaking. "I don't want people to look at me and say, she only succeeded because of her father. I want to succeed because of me." He leaned back with a sigh, rubbing his temples. "You're stubborn, just like your mother." His voice dropped, softer now. "But I only want to protect you. You'll understand someday." You clenched your fists, standing taller despite the ache in your chest. "No, Appa. Someday you'll understand me." At 22 years old, you were ready to fight for independence, even if the first battle was against your father. That evening, your father's voice echoed in the hallway as the maids prepared the dining room. "We'll be having dinner with the 𝐤𝐽s tonight," he said casually, as if it were the most ordinary thing. You froze. "The 𝐤𝐽s?" "The biggest name in Korea," your father added proudly. "Mr. 𝐤𝐽 is bringing his son 𝐦𝐿. It'll be good for you to meet them." Your heart skipped at the name, 𝐦𝐿, the cold, intimidating CEO everyone whispered about. You had seen his face in business magazines, flawless like it was carved in ice. But in reality, you had never spoken more than a polite greeting to him at Business Scholars years ago. Dinner was lavish, the long table glittering with crystal glasses and golden cutlery. You sat beside your father, across from 𝐦𝐿. He looked exactly as you remembered, sharp suit, dark eyes that seemed to weigh and measure everything, lips pressed into an unreadable line. He didn't say much, only nodding politely whenever your father or his father spoke. Mr. Jun laughed heartily with your father, praising him for his company's growth. "Your daughter is as beautiful as she is smart," he said, glancing your way. Heat crept up your neck. Thank you," you whispered, avoiding 𝐸𝐿's eyes. But you could feel them. Every now and then, between sips of wine or when his father wasn't speaking, 𝐸𝐿's gaze flickered toward you. Just a glance, quick, unreadable. But it made your stomach twist with nerves. You dared to glance back once. His eyes caught yours for a fraction of a second, dark, calm, and devastating. You looked away instantly, your cheeks burning. "Why, your father's voice snapped you out of your daze. "Tell Mr. John what you studied." "Oh, business management," you said quickly, fingers tightening around your napkin. I want to start my own company someday." There was a pause. Your father frowned, about to object, but surprisingly, it was 𝐸𝐿's father who chuckled warmly. "Ambitious. I like that." 𝐸𝐿, however, said nothing. He simply lowered his gaze, his expression unreadable as the candlelight reflected in his eyes. The night continued with laughter between the fathers, but you and 𝐸𝐿 shared only stolen glances, quick, shy, and heavy with unspoken curiosity. The next afternoon, you were out with your best friend Sam, sipping iced lattes at a cozy cafe when your phone buzzed. A message flashed across the screen. Your heart skipped. Sam raised a brow, leaning closer. "Who's that?" You quickly locked your phone. No one, just business." But your cheeks betrayed you. At 5 p.m. sharp, you walked into the restaurant. It was quiet, private, the kind of place reserved for CEOs and powerful men. Jungkook was already there, sitting straight, his black suit perfectly tailored, his gaze fixed out the window until he noticed you. You sat across from him, nervous, the silence pressing down on you. Finally, he spoke, his voice low, steady. "My family," he began. "They've been forcing me to marry." You blinked, taken aback. "So last night?" He looked at you directly now, eyes sharp but unreadable. "Yesterday's dinner was about that. They want me to know you, because they want us to get married." Your lips parted in shock. "Married? But I don't want to." He cut you off bluntly. His tone was calm, cold, but not cruel. "Marriage isn't in my plans. Not now. Not like this." You swallowed, unsure whether to feel insulted or relieved. "Then why call me here?" He leaned forward slightly, his gaze pinning you down. "Because I know what you want. You want independence, your own company. You don't want to be trapped under your father's shadow." Your eyes widened. "How did he—" Jungkook continued, his words precise, businesslike. "I'll invest. I'll make sure your company is stable within 6 months." You frowned. "And in return?" A faint smirk touched his lips. "In return, you stay as my wife for 6 months. A contract marriage. It'll silence my parents. And when the contract ends, you'll be free, with your company secured." The weight of his words hung in the air. 6 months as Jungkook's wife. 6 months of pretending, of carrying a title that wasn't real. Your heart pounded. "Why me?" you asked softly. For a moment his gaze softened, barely noticeable. Then his mask returned. "Because you're the only one who understands what it means to want something different." "You don't have to answer right now," he said calmly, his deep voice steady. "Think about it. This isn't a small decision. 6 months of your life, being my wife, even if only in name. I'll wait for your answer." He started to rise from his seat, reaching for his jacket. His movements were sharp, deliberate, the kind of man who always left first before anyone could leave him. But before he could take another step, you found yourself blurting out, "I don't need time." He paused, his dark eyes flickered back to you, surprised. You stood, your hands trembling slightly, but your voice strong. "I'm ready. No need to think for a long time. You're right, we both can help each other. You'll silence your family, and I'll finally get the chance to prove myself." For the first time that night, Jungkook's expression shifted. A faint crease appeared between his brows, as if he hadn't expected you to be so decisive. His lips parted slightly, then curved into the barest hint of a smirk. "Good," he said simply, sliding his jacket over his arm. "Tomorrow, 11 a.m. my office. We'll sign the contract." You nodded, feeling the weight of his words settle over you like chains and wings all at once. Without another word, you both walked out of the restaurant together. The night air was cool, filled with the quiet hum of the city. You walked side by side, not speaking, yet strangely aware of the space between you, thin, fragile, and electric. 6 months, a deal, a marriage that wasn't real. Or at least, that's what you told yourself. The next morning, Jungkook's office towered over Seoul like a monument of glass and steel. You had seen it in magazines, but standing there in person, your heart raced. His company wasn't just big, it was untouchable. Inside, the secretary led you to the top floor. When the door opened, Jungkook was already waiting, seated behind a sleek black desk, a stack of neatly arranged documents in front of him. "Sit," he said, his voice calm but commanding. You obeyed, your palms sweating. He slid the papers toward you, his gaze fixed on yours. "These are the terms of our contract marriage," Jungkook explained, his tone all business. "If you agree, we'll sign and register the marriage immediately." You scanned the first page. Rules. Strict, blunt, written in legal language. Jungkook's voice carried them aloud. "No physical intimacy. We keep this professional. No dating anyone else during the 6 months. It would risk exposure. No interfering in each other's personal matters. What I do outside the contract is mine. What you do is yours. We will appear together at family events, interviews, or business dinners as husband and wife." You raised a brow. "Sounds cold." "It's meant to be," Jungkook replied simply, sliding you a pen. "If we follow the rules, there will be no misunderstandings." A part of you wanted to protest, another part wanted to laugh at how clinical it all sounded. But instead, you nodded. Fine, I agree. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then, with the weight of the world in your hand, you signed your name. Jungkook signed right after, his strokes sharp, final. And just like that, you were married. As Jungkook closed his briefcase, his voice broke the silence, steady and deliberate. My parents, he said, looking directly at you, they've been waiting for this marriage for a long time. To them, we're already husband and wife. You shifted nervously in your chair. So, tomorrow, when I meet them, we go according to the contract, he cut in, his tone calm but firm. You'll act the part of my wife. Polite, supportive, convincing, nothing more. His eyes lingered on yours, sharp, as if testing your resolve. They cannot know this is a contract. To them, this is real. Do you understand? You nodded slowly. I understand. No mistakes. For a moment, his gaze softened, just barely. Good, because once we step into that house, there's no turning back. They'll expect a real couple, not two strangers bound by signatures. Your heart thudded. A real couple. You swallowed the lump in your throat, forcing a steady voice. Don't worry, Jungkook. I can play the part. He studied you for a second longer, then gave a curt nod. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. Be ready. I'll pick you up. And with that, he gathered his things, leaving you alone in his vast office with one thought echoing through your mind. You had just signed yourself into a marriage that wasn't real. But to his parents, it had to be. The Jaeon mansion was grand, with glittering chandeliers and polished marble floors. But instead of the intimidating welcome you feared, Jungkook's mother embraced you warmly the moment you stepped inside. Oh, my beautiful daughter-in-law, she exclaimed, holding your hands. We've waited so long for this day. You smiled politely, bowing in respect. It's an honor to be here. His father was quieter, his eyes sharp as he studied you from across the dining table. Marriage is responsibility, he said slowly, almost like a warning. I hope you understand that, Yayen. Before you could respond, Jungkook's voice cut through, calm but protective. She does, father. You don't need to doubt her. The words startled you. He didn't look at you when he said them, but something in his tone was firm, certain, as though he was shielding you without even realizing it. Dinner went smoothly after that, laughter filling the room thanks to his mother's gentle nature. You played your role perfectly, polite and respectful, while Jungkook occasionally brushed his hand against yours under the table. Silent reminders to keep the act believable. You blinked. What? No, you don't have to. I'm already here. He cut in smoothly, pulling a chair beside you. Show me what needs fixing. And so you did. For hours, the two of you worked side by side, your hands brushing as you passed papers, your heads leaning close as you pored over designs, your voices hushed in the stillness of the night. At one point, you looked up to find him staring intently at your screen, jaw tight with focus. His face was so close you could see the faint shadows beneath his eyes, the exhaustion he never admitted. You're tired, you murmured. He glanced at you, lips quirking faintly. So are you. A quiet laugh slipped past your lips. The sound made his chest warm in a way he couldn't explain. The clock ticked past midnight. Papers were stacked neatly now, the work finally done. You leaned back with a sigh of relief. We finished. 𝐤𝐿 sat back too, watching the satisfaction in your smile. Something in his chest shifted, unfamiliar and heavy. Thank you, you whispered, meaning it more than you expected. He held your gaze for a long moment. The office was quiet, the city lights glowing beyond the window, and for the first time, the space between you didn't feel like a contract. It felt like closeness, real, dangerous, beautiful. Neither of you said another word. You didn't need to. The silence spoke louder than rules ever could. It was all supposed to be an act, but in those quiet, ordinary moments, it felt real, real enough to confuse your hearts. And then, one evening, the apartment was quiet when you walked in that evening, the weight of rejection pressing on your shoulders like iron chains. Your steps were heavy, your eyes still swollen from holding back tears all afternoon. 𝐤𝐿 was there, tie loosened, shirt sleeves rolled up, a glass of whiskey in hand. The half-empty bottle on the table told you this wasn't his first. His dark eyes lifted when he saw you. Even through the haze of alcohol, they sharpened, scanning your face. You're late. You forced a small smile, trying to hide the heaviness in your chest. I had work. Sam squeezed your hands. You don't have to do this alone anymore. Tell him, please. You owe it to yourself and to that baby. You lowered your gaze to the sonogram in your lap, your heart racing. Sam was right. You couldn't run from this forever. The only question now was, when you told Jungkook, would it finally bring you together or break you apart completely? The steering wheel felt cold beneath your hands as you sat in Jungkook's car, parked at the curb. You took a deep, shaky breath, your heart pounding louder than the ticking clock on the dashboard. Today. You would tell him today. Your hand drifted instinctively to your stomach, fingers splaying across the soft curve. A small smile tugged at your lips despite the storm of nerves. You're going to meet your dad soon, you whispered softly, your voice trembling. I don't know how he'll react, but I hope he sees you the way I do, as the best thing that's ever happened. You closed your eyes for a moment, pressing your forehead against the steering wheel. Then, with a deep exhale, you started the engine. The roads were quiet, bathed in the fading glow of the evening sun. You rehearsed the words in your head over and over. How you'd tell him, how you'd show him the sonogram. Fear and hope tangled inside you like threads pulling tighter with every mile. And then, headlights. Too close. Too fast. Your eyes widened, breath catching in your throat. A truck barreled through the intersection, horn blaring, metal screeching. There was no time to react. The impact was deafening. Glass shattered, the world spun, and in an instant, everything went black. Far away in his office, Jungkook leaned back in his chair, staring at his phone. Your name was on the screen in his recent calls list, thumb hovering as if he could will you to call him first. For the first time in weeks, he wanted to break his own rule and just hear your voice. But before he could, his phone lit up again, this time with an unknown number. A voice on the other end, urgent, frantic. Is this Mr. John Jungkook? There's been an accident. You need to come to the hospital immediately. His pen fell from his hand. His blood ran cold. The hospital corridors echoed with the sound of hurried footsteps. Jungkook burst through the sliding doors, his chest heaving, his suit jacket half fallen from his shoulders. His eyes were wild, searching desperately, until they landed on Sam. She was hunched in one of the waiting chairs, her face streaked with tears. The moment she saw him, she shot up, voice breaking. Jungkook? The beep of the heart monitor was the first thing Jungkook heard when he stepped into your room. The sight of you, pale against the white sheets, an IV hooked into your arm, your chest rising faintly with each breath, hit him harder than any time ever could. He froze at the door, his throat tight, his hands trembling at his sides. For a long moment, he couldn't move, couldn't breathe. All he could think was how close he had come to never seeing you again.